website right now and download my free course on alternate picking mastery. It contains 5 essential exercises that will take you to alternate picking mastery faster than you can imagine. And then I've included my method of how to lay out a practice plan in just 1 to 2 minutes that will absolutely boost your results like nothing you ever tried before. So go download it right now. It's free. Hey, there's a thing we need to talk about. There's an element of practicing that is more important than perhaps anything else. We got a lot of principles going on these videos on YouTube. But there's a defining difference between the guy who learns very rapidly or develops very rapidly or wins every race car race. You know, there's some people out there who seems to always win, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's I'm compared with him at times, not because of my physique, but because of my language, and 7 times Mr. Universe, whatever, right? Why 7 times? Come on, how can he be so much better than everyone else? Like. You got race car drivers who's just winning year after year after year. What's going on there? Right? Is it talent, inborn ability? Sometimes it is, with physique and stuff like that. But most often, also, 100-yard dash, whatever it is, we got some physical inborn ability going for us there. But there are across the board, there's a difference in people. There's a guy practicing like 1 or 2 hours a day over there. And he's developing at this rate. And then there's a guy over there who's developing at this rate, practicing exactly the same amount of time. What is the difference? And there is a small difference, right? In a race car, going around the track, the guy who just makes those turns just a little bit more effective than everybody else is the one who wins. It's such a small difference. Like when working out, I'm just going to talk about a couple of analogies here so you get that this is a principle of nature that you can tap into. When working out, if you want to build your muscles, I used to do that for years. Like I was 22 because I was a skinny guy and I was bullied, for it. So I really wanted to look more manly, right? So I was pushing all that weight and I hated it. I hated every second of it. It was just, pain, right? But I did it anyway because I wanted the reward of it. But I didn't develop in any significant way. I even tried to gain weight and I was told that you have to drink malt beer. And so I did. And then I just, I didn't look bigger. I just got this little on my belly. So it was really non-successful. But then later in life, I learned about this little difference. And that little difference when it comes to working out is to have a massive load, for me anyway, and then to push through it. It's really a matter of, doing 10 repetitions. All those 10 repetitions doesn't really matter. What matters is that last little push. Can you push beyond what your pain level is willing to give you? Can you ignite your aggression in that defining moment and go, bam, right? Because that's where you tell your brain to develop, right? Give me more. And that is an act of total passion. If you don't have that, you got a guy there who's lifting the weight 10 times, and you got the guy there who's lifting it 10 times, and then just a little more. And it's that little more that tells the brain to ignite all the growth hormones and all that, right? So it's a mental thing. And if you go into the gym and you're not willing to do that, relatively speaking, you're wasting your time. You're doing this, you have the same amount of hours or minutes in the gym, but the guy who's willing to push beyond that last level, he gets like 10 times out of it. He really does when it comes to growth anyway and strength. Because he's developing. And that guy who gives in to that, like I did for like 10, 15 years, he doesn't develop. He's just frustrated. So there's a frustrated guitar player here, and there's a developing guitar player over here. What's the difference when it comes to guitar playing? The difference is focus, passion, is that intense intensity you have when you practice. imagine a guy over here he's practicing. And I hear from a lot of you guys say, well, I don't even know how many hours I practice really. I sit down, I play songs, I do this and that, right? That's going into the gym without that specific intent. I'm just practicing. I'm picking the songs and what do you want to achieve? What's the specific thing you want to achieve? You don't know because you're just practicing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just going to the gym, working out, and then going back in. You're maintaining basically and developing just a little bit perhaps. But you could use the same amount of hours, the same amount of effort, and you can get 10 times out of that if you are totally passionate about achieving some specific skill on this instrument. Really focused, like, that would be amazing. What if I could just play these chords like a pro? First of all, you have to believe that it's possible, and I hope you do after watching the videos on this channel, right? That you get this, maybe I can really totally move beyond what most people do and create something magical for myself here. Once you get the taste of that, and you start having a goal like, what if I could play with total intensity and feeling? I could master all these phrasing tools on just a little area of the neck, and I could play a solo that would make my girlfriend weep, right? Just make people go, oh, they're so beautiful. How do you do that, right? What if I could create that reaction in people? Or what if I could play faster than, anybody out there? That's pretty hard because people are pretty fast. But what if I could shred like the best, right? What if I could play, any song you could throw at me around the campfire, I could just go for it. What if I could listen my way to chords when people start singing a song? So amazing. Whatever it is that ignites you within, that's what you're focused on. There's a deep connection to that when you practice. That's the magic I'm working on. So when I enter into practicing, you look at your guitar in a totally different way because it's just, it's the whole thing with the coffee and the practicing in my project, and it's all flavored by it's all that feeling of that magic you're creating. But you're practicing the same amount of minutes as that guy who's just practicing. Nothing wrong with that, right? But he's just practicing. And you're obsessed by it. You're like, my special place on this planet, right? And you think about it all day, and you visualize scale shapes or whatever you do, right? You can't drop it again because it's so magical, because you take the time out to dream about what you can do, and you create little plans of what happens if I do just this. If I just focus on one chord, if I just focus on 3 notes, if I hammer away at that, could I bring it all the way to the top? Prove to me that I can do it, and then just, do it all. That's the difference. It's passion. It's intent when you're sitting down to practice. You have a plan. You're working your plan, and you're going to that special magical place, which ignites you. You really deserve to have that. Anybody can have that, but you need to work on it. When you're driving your car, you need to think about it. Ask yourself specific questions like, how cool would it be if I could get there? What would happen if I did just this for an entire month? What would happen if I used all my idle mental hours visualizing these 2 scale shapes back and forth, and I didn't touch them on the guitar? I didn't play the scale shapes. I just visualized them intensely for 4 weeks without playing them. What would happen? Just got the idea right now. That's a pretty cool idea. Just to see how much effect that has on my ability to play, just to get that into my body, to see what I could do mentally, how good I could become mentally. What would happen if I visualized myself playing a chord I never played before, and I did it over and over and over again? We know that has an actual effect on sports, people who run, do different sports disciplines, that, visualizing has an enormous effect. So you get fired up about that. You have intent when you practice. You live that dream, that thing you're doing. So you're not just playing 3 notes. You're not just practicing chords to learn that song. You are building something freaking magical. That's what makes the big difference. It really is. In results, I promise you. And in race car driving and muscle building or whatever. It's that push, that defining little difference that we can't see. Oh, they practice a lot. Yeah, but it's the within that's important. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.